sun is coming out well. And over the next 42 kilometers, of course, every stride matters. I'm not alone. I'm with Steve Ruto. Morning, Steve.
Good morning, Robinson.
Yes, Steve, of course, has covered the Eldoret City Marathon for the 7 editions that we've had so far, and rather 6 editions that we've had so far, and now we are doing the 7th one here. And Steve, each year we keep getting something new in the Eldoret City Marathon.
Yes, there are always surprises every edition.
Yes.
And this race, as you've said, started in 2018. That was the first edition. Then we, of course, during COVID in 2020, the race was did not happen. And then in 2023, it did not happen. That is why we have the 7 editions. And during all these editions, we've had many surprises. We've had winners, except one who defended the title 3 times, that is Victor Kipchirchir. But every edition has produced a new winner and a new set of champions during all these years.
Remember, Eldoret City Marathon is the brainchild of Moses Tanui, who won gold in 10,000 meters in Tokyo in 1991 at the World Championships, and then he won gold in 1995 at Montebello, the half marathon. He's a two times Boston Marathon. He won it in 1996 and 1998, and he was the first man to run a half a marathon under 1 hour. He's the man that decided, you know what, let's come up with a marathon here at home where people can compete and actually get to show the world what this is all about. Steve, I know you've interacted a number of times with Moses Tanui, and he says that, you know, he wants to see this race give at least the winners, like the first placed finisher, 10 million shillings in the near future. Do you see that happening?
Yes, that can happen, Robinson, because races are run because of sponsorships. And this can happen in 2 ways. With sponsors coming in a big way. Remember in 2023, the race did not happen because of sponsorship hitches. So with consistency in sponsorships, races can be sustained and prize monies can be increased to that 10 million, from the current 3.5 million to 10 million, and which will make the race even more attractive to elite athletes. Remember, even the 3.5 million is irresistible. That is why it's attracting more than 2,000 athletes. Everyone wants the rich prize money. Secondly, races can be sustained through the fundraisers. Races like London, which is happening today, has over 50,000 fund runners. These are the people who give money that are used to sustain races. And that is the way we should go. We should encourage more fund runners to sustain races such as the Eldoret City Marathon, because you can imagine with 50,000 runners, that prize money of 10 million is very possible.
Yes, prize money of 10 million, very possible in the near future. On the left side of your screen, the women's 42 kilometers leading pack. And of course, Steve, for the first time in the Eldoret City Marathon, we are seeing the women have a pace setter, something that is generally not, you know, a common phenomenon here in Kenya when we have long distance, or rather when we have marathons. It's rare to see, you know, pace setters in such races. But today, in the women's 42 kilometers race, we have a pace setter, which probably we might end up having faster times.
It shows the race is growing in stature, because this is a race that is now in its 7th edition, and is now nearly about eight or 9 years or so since when it started, and it's been growing in stature. So we are now getting into the leagues of bigger races. That's why we are now seeing pace setters coming in, and we're seeing how you know, the number of elites that are being attracted to these races are also growing in number, and so it's really growing and it's really attracting more elites.
Now that we are still speaking about the women, remember in 2025, the race was won by Viola Chepngeno in a time of 2 hours, 26 minutes and 22 seconds, which is the course record for the Eldoret City Marathon for the women. In 2024, it was won by Emily Jepkemoi in a time of 2 hours, 30 minutes and 31 seconds. And then in 2022, it was won by Emily Chebet in a time of 2 hours, 29 minutes and 58 seconds. In 2021, Mercy Kipchumba emerged the winner, clocking a time of 2 hours, 28 minutes and 10 seconds. And then, remember, it was not held in 2020 due to COVID, the COVID pandemic. And then in 2019, this was the second edition. It was won by Valerie Ayebe, who's a big name when you talk about marathon running. She won it in a time of 2 hours, 27 minutes and 17 seconds. And then the inaugural edition, that was in 2018, Sharon Cherop emerged the winner in 2 hours, 29 minutes and 57 seconds. That is on the women's side. Now, on the men's side, the defending champion is Edwin Kipruto. Remember, he won it last year in a time of 2 hours, 11 minutes and 21 seconds. And then, as Steve had earlier mentioned, the man that has done a hat-trick of wins in the Eldoret City Marathon, that is Victor Kipchirchir, won it in 2024, won it in 2022, and again won it in 2021. But before then, in 2019, Matthew Kisorio, who won it in 2019, and then the inaugural edition was won by Elkanah Kibet Yego. Yes, those are the previous winners. When you go to the Hall of Fame of the Eldoret City Marathon, those are the names that you'll find hanging on that wall. But today, it's all about adding two more names to the Hall of Fame of the Eldoret City Marathon as we wait to see who comes out as the winner. Remember, the women have so far done 49 minutes, while the men have so far done 20 minutes. And it's going to be very, very interesting, having in mind that when the women began the race, it was a bit chilly, Steve, but the skies are opening up, the sun is coming out, and probably the dynamics might change.
Yes. It rained last night, and early in the morning the weather was quite cold, and we are seeing that now it's getting warmer, and the conditions are getting perfect for this race, as the athletes are already up and away. So maybe by the time they're finishing, it's going to be warmer and favorable condition for maybe faster times.
Yes, it's going to be favorable. Remember, we are in Eldoret City in Uasin Gishu County, and in August 2024, Eldoret was conferred as a city by President William Ruto. And of course, this is after it becomes the fifth city in the country. That is after Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, and Nakuru. And this is known as the City of Champions. And if you're just joining us and you don't know about the City of Champions, I let Steve tell you why Eldoret is the City of Champions.
Eldoret has a rich history in athletics. They say the City of Champions because it hosts most of the champions that have won medals in either World Championships, the Olympics, African Games, Commonwealth Games. Most of those champions are here. Most of those medalists live here. That is why it's called the City of Champions.
Yes, speaking about the City of Champions, remember the 42-kilometer race, both for men and women, they will be meandering through the streets of Eldoret. And as Steve had said, most of former world beaters live here in Eldoret, and they've totally changed most of the buildings that you find here in Eldoret town, Eldoret City, Steve, they bear the names of some of the biggest cities that we have in the world. Why so?
Robinson, athletes have redefined the skylines of these areas. The city of Eldoret bears skylines that were established by winners of world major marathons, winners of Grand Prix. When you're in town, you can see a building called Grand Prix, owned by the pioneer of this race, who is Moses Tanui. many other buildings that we can't mention now. But a number of these buildings, almost half of them, have been built by athletes through their prize monies, won in Europe, America, and in the streets of Asia. They have come back to invest in their city, and that's why they call it the City of Champions. Most of them have also invested in Iten. Iten is in Elgeyo Marakwet, and it's the home of champions. Others have invested in Nandi, in Kapsabet. Athletes such as Peter Koech, who ran steeplechase in his prime in the 1980s, has invested heavily in Kapsabet. Here in Eldoret, Moses Tanui, we also have another Moses, it's called Moses Kiptanui, a steeplechaser who broke the world record in the 1990s. Has also invested heavily in with skylines under his name, supermarkets and other businesses under his name. So those are ways in which athletics has built a city.
Yes, athletics has built a city. The skylines, rather the skyscrapers that you see in Eldoret, of course, bear the names of some of the world beaters, some of the men and women that have brought glory to the country of Kenya, breaking records in different races across the world. And most buildings in Eldoret town bear the names of some of the biggest cities in the world, as Steve had explained. And remember, Eldoret sits roughly over 2,700 meters above sea level, which is which makes it prominent high altitude training hub, and probably that is why we've seen most of the athletes who can't make it to Iten also train here in Eldoret or go to Nandi. And as we keep tabs on the women's race, that now being the first time that they are having pace setters, it's going to be very interesting. Remember, the course record for the women's race is 2 hours 26 and 22 minutes. So our eyes will be on that leading pack to see whether they will beat that time that was set last year by Viola Chepngeno. And remember, so far, we are waiting to see after the pace, probably after some time when the pacemaker drops out, if we'll have anybody trying to break from that leading pack, because most of the time when you're running in a pack, there's that psychological warfare amongst yourselves to see who's going to, break fast, and if you break fast, if you can maintain that speed to the finish line. But that is something that we are keeping our tabs on. And earlier on, remember, when the race was flagged off at 7 a.m., my colleague Davis Mberia was speaking to the Eldoret Governor, Jonathan B., as well as Elgeyo, and as well as, was in Gishu Governor Jonathan B., as well as Elgeyo Marakwet Governor. And they said that, we are having athletes come to participate in this race, and one big thing that they should focus on is staying away from performance enhancing drugs. Steve, this is something that has become big. I remember Kenya, we just came from that. We were put on a watch list, and the World Anti-Doping Agency had given us a warning that, we need to clear the mess in our house, or else things were going to get, hard for us. But at least now, at least there was some leniency, because we managed to beat that on the final day of we managed to beat that on the final day after WADA had given us some period to make sure that we sort out our mess. What do you have to say?
Robinson, remember we're still in category A of the watch list.
Yes.
Although we were spared earlier in the year of being struck out by WADA. So we are still in the watch list. We are still in category A.
Yes.
When our athletes win at the Olympics, at the World Championships, World Cross Country, at World Major Marathons, and during the Diamond Leagues, what we normally witness at the airport is celebrations, song and dance. People enjoy the traditional milk, mursik,
Yes.
and many other things to celebrate them. On the flip side, there is a thorn in the flesh of the sport. And doping has really affected the reputation of Kenya in the global arena. Because when we break world records, someone would think, is this a clean athlete? That is the question that pops up when we deliver stunning results globally.
Yes.
Because the question is this athlete clean? You can see how it has injured our reputation and how the results that our athletes deliver across the globe come under spotlights, because people think maybe someone has doped. And for over a decade now, it's been a major issue. The fight has been going on. But again, we still get people who cheat in the sport. And a number of measures have been put in place, but still we are witnessing cases of doping, because people want the shortcuts to success in athletics and in other affairs like business and other things. But again, this is our major export. Athletics, by the way, is Kenya's export. Remember, we are not just exporting tea and coffee. We are also exporting athletes who are representing other countries across the world.
Yes.
The US, Bahrain, Qatar, and many other countries. That is our export, and it has to be considered as our export. But now, doping is a menace still. There are enhanced tests, which have revealed that more and more numbers of athletes continue to cheat. The issue is, what is the way forward? What can Kenya do to ensure that they reduce the number significantly? Although there has been a debate around, maybe it's because Kenya has a bigger pool of athletes. That is why we're seeing the numbers. That the numbers match with the total number of athletes that Kenya has. Remember, Kenya has over 10,000 athletes, active athletes, or elite athletes, to say so.
Yes, Kenya has a bigger pool of registered athletes, more than 10,000, and it means that the competition is cutthroat. And if you even from your screen, on the right hand of your screen, you can see how the men are still trying to outwit each other to see who comes out as the winner of the 42 kilometers in the 7th edition of the Eldoret City Marathon that is currently underway in Eldoret City in Uasin Gishu County. Yes, the men are still in the leading pack. The women have already done 2 hours so far, rather 1 hour so far, and probably 1 hour 20 minutes remaining if we go from by last year's results. And we might be having a fast race today, and the men have only done 30 minutes and 31 minutes so far, so still a long way to go. And remember, in a bit we'll be having the 1 mile race. This is a race that only they say that it's attracting the elite. It's one way of attracting the elite to make sure that they are also not left out. Steve,
with the elite 1 mile in the menu, we are going to see a number of middle distance athletes. Those who run 800 meters on the track, 1,500 meters, 3,000 meters, and 5,000 meters, as well as those who compete in the 400 meters, have an opportunity to compete here today. So it's the first time that the 1 mile is being introduced, and it's one of the races in African events. It's been, I think this is the first one in a Kenyan race. We have not seen the 1 mile race before. We've seen the 1 mile in Boston. Yes, which is competed just hours to the main marathon.
Marathon, yes.
And then now we are seeing it here today, because, like we said earlier, this race is borrowing from the world marathon majors, because it has a dream of being the longest marathon to be run, like the Boston Marathon, which, by the way, was run on Monday.
Yes.
And Kenyans dominated as usual.
Korir winning back-to-back, as well as Lokedi back-to-back titles. And it's actually been an athletics field weekend. On Monday, Boston Marathon. On Friday, Kip Keino Classic.
Yes.
Today, we have the Eldoret City Marathon. And in a few hours to come, we are going to have the London Marathon.
Yes.
And of course, after we are done with the Eldoret City Marathon, all eyes will be on Sebastian Sawe,
Yes.
as well as Helen Obiri, and also Joycelyn Jepkosgei, which is very, very interesting. Yes. It will be a good battle to look out for later on. But remember, the people that are participating in the Eldoret City Marathon also want to get to that level. And something that is very interesting is that Eldoret City Marathon is normally held on the same day as the London Marathon. Something very interesting. Yes. Same Sunday as the London Marathon. Do you find that very interesting, Steve?
Yes, it's very interesting because Eldoret City Marathon dreams to be like Boston, but it coincides with London.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yes, it wants to be, Boston is its dream world major. Yes. But London is the one that coincides with it. So, but what's the common thing between London and the Eldoret City Marathon? Yes, okay. Eldoret City Marathon is in its 7th edition, and London Marathon has been here for quite some time. So Eldoret City Marathon is learning something from London Marathon. That is why after this, at 11 a.m., all eyes will shift from Eldoret to London.
Yes.
Because that is where the athletes that train in this city have competed in the region are taking part. Remember, Joycelyn Jepkosgei trains here in Iten. Sebastian Sawe trains in Kapsabet. The Kapsabet, which is the source of champions.
Yes.
Joycelyn Jepkosgei, who is a former half marathon record holder, trains just in Iten.
Yes.
So they know, the athletes will want to know. They will be, immediately after they compete here, they want to watch their peers try to rule the streets of London. So that is how we can, local racers borrow from the best of the best, the world majors. Yes.
Remember, it's Sunday, and if you're just coming from the first mass, yes, you are not too late. We've done 1 hour 5 minutes for the women, and for the men we've only done 35 minutes so far. So you're not off. But also remember, today being Sunday, most people, after they come out of church, I know they will be out along the streets of Eldoret to make sure they get a glimpse of whatever is happening today and get to cheer the athletes that you see on your screen. These are athletes that are trying to make sure that they battle each other to the finish line and make sure that probably they get into the Hall of Fame of the Eldoret City Marathon, get to bag that 3.5 million shillings that is out and up for grabs for the winners, and also get to, of course, experience the serene running environment of the streets of Eldoret, because today the streets have been closed. It's all about the 7th edition of the Eldoret City Marathon. So all eyes are on the roads of Eldoret. All activities have come to a standstill, and in a few we'll probably see more people coming to the streets to cheer the men and women that have come out to perform in this prestigious local marathon that we have. And on the right side of your screen, the men are still in that leading pack that has more than 20 gentlemen right there trying to, of course, outperform each other. But so far, nobody has shown that intent of trying to, move ahead of that pack and probably show the intent of trying to, it's a battle, it's a mind game, Steve. Once you break from that, then it means the other athletes in that pack have to ask themselves, should I also leave? Should I also break and follow him, or should I just maintain this pace? And probably after we are 5 5 kilometers or so, then I can, break off and go. And still on the left side of your screen, the women's leading pack. Also, we have 4 women there trying to, see whether they can maintain that pace to a particular point where they will, 1 or 2 probably try to break from there, Steve.
I think at this stage, no one wants to. All of them want to. The physique is not about the physical strength alone. It's also about the mental games. The mental games are at play here. No one wants to pull away faster, because you may pull away fast at this stage, and then again you lose gas along the way. By the time you are at about 35 kilometers, you remember 35 kilometers is where now you know whether you're going to finish the race or not, because you have to reserve that gas for the final, for the last 7 kilometers or so, and another for the final sprint to the finish. So they are still playing the mind games, and everyone wants to reserve energy for the last stages of the race.
Yes, and as we were speaking earlier, Steve, this race is offering 3.5 million shillings for the winners, and currently we have very few races in the country that can match that prize for the winners, and probably that is why we've had athletes want to switch allegiance, something that the World Athletics came out and said and denied those athletes, the 5 athletes that wanted to switch their allegiance to Turkey, and saying that it will switch to other countries, and also very limited opportunities that we have in the country.
Yes. Robinson, about 5 Kenyan athletes who wanted to switch to Turkey had their request declined by the World Athletics, because the rules have to be followed.
Yes.
Like we said, athletics is one of Kenya's exports. It's an export because we have more than enough talent. When we hold the national trials for the Olympics or for the World Championships or for the World Cross Country Championships, the best of the best only make it. And those who don't make it does not mean that they are not good athletes. They are good athletes, only that the opportunities are limited in Kenya.
Yes.
And that is why they opt to represent other countries who do not have as many elites as we have in Kenya. But there are rules to be followed. So I think technically the switch of allegiance was declined because of the rules. So I think we learned something from it, that even as we want to export our elite athletes, we have to follow the rules. Those who recruit them have to follow the rules. We cannot, like they were saying, that we cannot, switch allegiance, because we are aiming at representing those countries in the next Olympics.
That is 2028.
Yes, I think maybe the intention, the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, and the intention to compete for Turkey in the 2028 Olympics could have created a problem, leading to the rejection of their bids.
Yes, remember we had the 10-kilometer race flagged off at 20 minutes to 8. That is at 7:40 a.m. And probably in the next 10 minutes, we'll be seeing the finishers come to the finish line. Davis Mberia will be there at the finish line to speak to the winners of the 10 kilometers race that was flagged off at 7:40 a.m. And then in the next 18 minutes or so, we'll have the 1 mile race flagged off. This, of course, is only bringing together elite athletes to showcase what they have. So far, 1 hour, 12 minutes done for the women as we keep tabs on how they perform the 7th edition of the Eldoret City Marathon. And as this race continues, we have lots of agents that have turned up, and of course also managers that are here to see how their athletes are performing and faring on in this race. And Steve, you can bear me witness. We've seen a number of agents at the finish line. We've seen a number of managers come with their athletes from their stables, and they were at the start line, trying to encourage the athletes to at least, improve their personal best in the 42 kilometers race, or for the men or the women. And probably at the end of the day today, we may have even other athletes joining different stables or getting, new agents.
Yes, you're right. A number of athletics managements are here today to support the best talents. There are a number of athletes who have trained for years, but they have no managements. That means that they cannot compete in races outside Kenya. They cannot compete in races in Europe, because that will depend on your management. The managements play a very critical role in ensuring that athletes get opportunities to compete, especially globally. So today, the managements are here to support the best talents who will, from today, access better training and access better facilities, and also, more importantly, get opportunities to compete globally.
Yes, when you say access to better facilities, I know we are in the City of Champions, and then next to it is the Source of Champions, and then we do have, the Home of Champions. Now, Steve, something that most people ask themselves: we have these world beaters who are shining out there, making a name for the countries, but when it comes to infrastructure, they don't have where to train. It's just road running, and if you actually get a chance, then very few have access to better training facilities, and it's something that we've been talking about year in, year out, and probably our calls fall on deaf ears. We are not far, from where we are and where some of the stadiums that are supposed to give access to these athletes is not far. But we have not seen development of infrastructure that will offer these athletes better, training for them, so that they can improve in the coming years.
It's been one promise after another one. We can see better stadiums coming up in Nairobi. We can see Moi Sports Center Kasarani is now
being renovated.
Nyayo hosted the Kipkeino Classic on Friday evening. It's not in very bad state. At least we have seen renovations and we've seen improvements in that. Yeah. Now, the problem of facilities can be seen outside Nairobi. That is where we have a major problem with facilities. We can see renovations of facilities going on. We can see upgrade of a stadium like Kipchoge Keino Stadium,
which is not far from
named after Kenya's most successful legend, Kipchoge Keino, an Olympic gold medalist in 1968. Is a living legend. We have named that stadium after him. But the progress of renovating it to international standards has been too slow for over a decade. Construction is just going on, and athletes are given excuses every year that, maybe the contractor has not been paid. You hear, excuses like, we want to, start it again to meet international standards. It's demolished. Well, the track that is there was, laid by during the era of President Mike Kibaki. We've had now 2 other presidents coming in, and construction is still in progress today. So, and they have the latest promise is that it's going to be completed by December this year, because it's going to be an alternative training venue during the AFCON, which Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda will co-host.
Yes.
So I think we're seeing some pace injected into the construction. But again, we've had so many promises that people no longer believe that when they say they're going to complete it in December, it's going to happen in that December.
Yes.
People have doubts. But what gives them hope is that the upcoming AFCON will give the responsible government agencies the pressure to complete it within the December they have promised.
Because most people would expect that, the Kipchoge Keino Stadium, that is just a few less than 5 kilometers from where we are, should have been completed, and it should be, the place where all these athletes who lack access to facilities come to at least do their speed work. And then you have in Elgeyo Marakwet, Kamarini Stadium, it should be, up to standard to give athletes, a place for practice for their speed work, but that has not been the case. And athletes have had to be innovative so that they can come up with ways to help themselves.
Kamarin Stadium began, or rather the construction of Kamarin Stadium to international standards began in 2016. It's now 10 years later. 10 years
down the line.
Unfortunately, it's still a grazing field for sheep and goats. That's the problem. Okay, they have made another promise again for Kamarin Stadium. That now this time they're serious about completing.
Those years they were never serious.
Now they're saying they're serious.
Yes.
They now want to complete it because that was where athletes such as Stephen Cherono, the former 3,000 meter steeplechase, trained.
Yes.
That is where Cherono, who shifted to Bahrain as, or who represented a nation country during his prime, prepared for his world record breaking. He did that in Kamarin. When you go there and ask people, they say, no, Cherono used to come here at 5 a.m. just to train for that world record. That is where David Rudisha's talent was nurtured. He trained in Kamarin Stadium in Iten before breaking the world record at the Olympics in 2012. Many athletes, including legends like Ibrahim Hussein, trained in Iten those days. A 3-time Boston Marathon champion. That was Kamarin, a historic facility. But it keeps stalling. It's just stalling, and it's not getting completed. I think it's time that Kenyan athletes begin to demand for the hastening of the improvement of these stadiums into better facilities for them to train. I think they now should begin to ask questions so that these stadiums are completed. When we're not trying to put pressure on the athletes to demand, but it's their right to get access to public facilities like the Kipkeino Stadium, Kamarin Stadium, there is another Kipchoge Keino Stadium in Nandi, by the way, which is set to be constructed. But it's also taking more and more time. Yet, the pool of talents keeps growing. More and more upcoming athletes are here. They want to take up the baton from the likes of marathon legend Eliud Kipchoge. Who is the next Eliud Kipchoge? We have the likes of Sebastian Sawe here. Who is the next Sebastian Sawe? Who is the next John Korir, who ran 2:01:52, a course record in Boston on Monday? Who is the next? Helen Obiri.
Yes.
You know, when they retire in the next few years, will be the next. So we need to have the pool of talents. Alongside that, we have facilities for them to thrive and to excel in athletics.
Yes, if you're just joining us, it's the 7th edition of the Eldoret City Marathon happening today in Eldoret City, Uasin Gishu County. And so far, women's 42 kilometers. The women have done 1 hour and 23 minutes, while the men have done 53 minutes. And it's bound to get interesting as the clock keeps on ticking as we wait to see who comes out as the winner of this prestigious local race that is currently happening. All eyes on the Eldoret City Marathon. And as you can see on the right hand of your screen, the men's leading pack right there. People are slowly turning out to the streets of Eldoret just to get a glimpse of what is happening. The men that are battling out to take over this mantle from last year's winner, Viola Chepngeno, last year's winner, Edion Kipruto on the men's side, and also on the women's side, who's going to take over from Viola Chepngeno, who clocked 2 hours, 26 minutes and 22 seconds, which is the course record. But remember, beg your pardon, for the men's side, Victor Kipchirchir, who has a hat-trick of victories in this race, also holds the course record he set in 2021 of 2 hours, 8 minutes and 56 seconds. But as we continue taking a look at what is happening, of course, we also are monitoring the finish area, where we are expecting the 10 kilometers to come to an end. We'll be handing over in a bit to Davis Mberia, who's at the finish line, to get to speak to the winners of the 10 kilometers who are about to come to the finish line of the 10 kilometers. Remember, it was flagged off at around 7:40 a.m. and we are waiting to see who comes out as the winner of this race. Also, we had the 1 mile flagged off at 8:30 a.m. as well as the 42 kilometers for both men and women that was flagged off at 7 a.m. So, and we are waiting for the winners of the 1 mile, who will be coming to the finish line in a bit. And remember, this is the first time that we are having an elite 1 mile in the Eldoret City Marathon. So we will be waiting in a bit to see who comes out as the winner of the first ever 1 mile race at the Eldoret City Marathon. Remember, most world majors or most big marathons that we have in the world normally have the 1 mile race that is held before the main event is held. And remember, today, after we are done with the Eldoret City Marathon, all eyes will be on the London Marathon that will be happening from 11 a.m. So by the time that happens, we'll have already known who are the winners of the Eldoret City Marathon. And so far, the women have done 1 hour and 26 minutes, and the men have done 56 minutes, as we wait to see who's going to break from that leading pack for both the men and women. Residents of Eldoret, some who had gone to church, have come out just to see, get a glimpse of what athletes are doing on the roads here, and probably get to cheer them on as they are on the road to victory. But still the leading packs, nobody is yet to break from the leading packs to probably challenge his or her competitors. And remember, this can be also, psychological rather than being physical, and just trying to see what your competitor is doing before trying to get away of maneuvering and beating that. So we'll be waiting as the clock ticks, to see who comes out as the winner of this race. And remember, we're also keeping our eyes on the finish line, where the 1 mile race is expected to come to an end in a bit. That is, the elite mile race is expected to come to an end. But as we continue with our conversation with Steve Ruto, as we, of course, keep our eyes on both the male and men and women's races, one thing that has come out when you talk about the Eldoret City Marathon is it's become a launch pad for most people who participate here. It propels you to a better, to better performances in the near future, as well as it is also been used for grassroots development. Steve.
Yes, you're right. This marathon has given many budding marathoners an opportunity to be identified and their talents nurtured. A number of them come into Eldoret City Marathon as their first marathon, and from there they get an opportunity to be spotted by managers, and they get to be exposed to more races locally and internationally. And remember, in this race, both the elites who have won major marathons before are also coming in to compete side by side with their counterparts who are just upcoming. And remember, those who are running for the first time get those golden opportunities to be identified and given the opportunities to compete in other races happening across the globe.
Yes, the pictures on your screen, the finish of the 1 mile race. Yes, just come to, we've already had the winner, and of course of the 1 mile race, which is an elite 1 mile race, and pictures of the finish right there. The athletes completed that 1 mile that was flagged off at 8:30. Was flagged off at 7:40 a.m. And then aside from that, what we are also talking about is the theme of this, beg your pardon, the theme of this race, which is running for climate change. And that has always been the theme for the last 7 editions, Steve. And we've seen the increase in tree coverage that the race is advocating for. Every year they have to increase the number of trees that they are planting. And I was speaking to Moses Tanui yesterday, and he told me that he wants athletes to, not to feel suffocated when they're running. He wants them to have fresh air. Anywhere they run in the area, they feel that everything is fresh.
Okay, before we get into that, you cut me short when the 1 mile race came to an end. We were saying that this race has been has catapulted athletes into major races.
Yes.
An athlete like Judith Korir, who was in the podium in 2021, was selected to the Kenyan team to the 2022 World Championships in Oregon. Mm-hmm. That is how local races or international races that are happening in the country can be used to identify the best of the best. Coming to the theme of this race, which is running for climate action, remember, this is where many athletes train. Most of them train in this region. Others train in regions like the South Rift, places like Kericho, Nakuru, Keringeti, Nakuru, Baringo, places like Eldama Ravine, Nyahururu in central Kenya, Nairobi, areas around Gong. Those are areas, just to mention a few, where athletes spend their time as they prepare for races. But the climatic conditions have been changing to an extent that the temperatures are getting higher. Places are exposed, and they are now bare grounds. And what most races are now doing is to ensure that they reverse the trend and ensure that those areas are greened once again and reverted to how they used to be 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, which used to be very conducive for athletes to train. Remember, many athletes like training in areas with fresh air, areas which are just natural. So they want to revert it back to natural settings for athletes to prepare for their races.
Yes, and remember we are talking about the 1 mile elite race, and we've had Naomi Korir emerging the winner in that. Steve, Naomi Korir, of course, is not a new name in athletics. She's a middle distance runner, and I mean, for her to come out and also participate in this means a lot.
Yes.
It means a lot, of course, and it's one way of trying to keep fans, interested and integrated in this, because now you also get to witness the athletes that you normally see participating or representing the country in international races, also, being part of such a race. And Naomi Korir, who participates in the 800 meters, has just won the 1 mile race that has just come to an end. Steve, you've covered Naomi for a while now.
Yes, she has won a number of 800-meter races. Races such as Griffon Meeting. She won the 800 meters in 2024. She has represented Kenya in a number of races. She has competed in global races happening in Kenya, such as Kipkeino Classic. For instance, she was position 4 recently at the Kipkeino Classic. And she's here today competing in the city of Eldoret. She has so many accolades. She has a very good CV in the 800 meters. And what an opportunity to showcase a 1 mile racing talent. Like we said before, this is the race for middle distance runners and long distance runners, maybe up to 5,000 meters, from 400 meters to 5,000 meters. Yes, and Naomi Korir is one of those athletes that have represented Kenya in a number of global races, and today she's here to participate.
Yes, still keeping tabs on the women's 42 kilometers. The pictures are on your TV, the women's 42 kilometers. Yes, they've done 1 hour 36 minutes so far. And the leading pack, of course, right there, they are still, we do not have any athletes who's managed to break from that leading pack. And right now, of course, they are getting into Eldoret town, and we are waiting to see how they can keep that pace, and probably get to see who will try and just kick from that lead pack to, unsettle the others, as they say, and get an advantage against her competitors. Yes, at the finish line, some of the athletes that are just coming to the finish line, those who participated in the 1 mile elite race in the morning, they're just coming to the finish line. But we still keep tabs on the women's race, and we've spoken about, what this marathon is all about, in conserving, how it's being used to conserve the environment. But Steve, sometimes when you have young athletes come to participate in such a big race and then they end up not winning, it also gives them pressure of participating. If you don't win, there's that youth pressure and expectations that you have, that you are going to such a big race and then you end up not giving, and then it becomes a setback. So it gives you more pressure of wanting to perform better, which leads to performances not being going the way you expect.
Yes, there are heartbreaks in athletics, like in other competitions, in other sporting events. And sport is not just about competition. The first thing is to enter the competition as a participant, expecting either a win, a podium place, or in the top 20. For instance, in Eldoret City Marathon, the top 20 athletes are awarded. If you do not meet, if you do not make it to the podium, you aim the top 10.
Yes.
If you don't make it to the top 10, you aim the top 20. If you are outside the top 20 bracket,
you're going home empty.
What is in it for you? There is something for you. You have participated.
Yes.
You have gauged your strength and endurance. You're going back to your training base knowing your strengths, knowing your abilities, knowing whether you're coming back next year to be in the top 20 and how you're going to achieve that top 20 when you come back in the next edition. Thirdly, athletes are here to ensure that they make a name for themselves. Alongside that, athletics is life. They want to change home through athletics.
Yes.
Most of them have come from humble backgrounds. The only way to change home is through athletics. What does it mean when you are not in the top 20 and athletics is the career you want to use to change home? Some will be discouraged, of course, but some will take it positively as one way of ensuring that they return back to their training pace, have a discussion with their coaches, and change their training regimens to ensure that they are in a better position in the next edition. It's always about the next edition. After this, focus shifts to the next edition and to the next race.
Yes, of course. That is how athletes have to deal with setbacks and heartbreaks, as well as disappointments when you don't get to be among the top 20 finishers of the Eldoret City Marathon, where the top 20, of course, get to go home with something, with the winner getting to pocket 3.5 million shillings. But aside from that, I remember in the morning we had the 10 kilometers race, as well as the 1 mile elite race that took place earlier in the morning, and Naomi Korir winning the 1 mile elite race. And aside from that, we had Abraham Congo winning the men's 10 kilometers. He trains here in Eldoret, and this is the first time that he's won the 10 kilometers race here in Eldoret. We are still keeping tabs on the main race of the day. That is the men's 42 kilometers as well as the women's 42 kilometers. Maybe later on we'll have our colleague Davis Mberia speak to the winners of the mile as well as the 10 kilometers as we continue with the main race, where the women have done 1 hour and 42 minutes so far. So we are not far off. But also, Steve, something that comes out clearly here, if the athletes that are participating today, they are those that are here to show their talent so that they can be signed into a label, they can get an agent. They are those who've just come out so that they can get an agent, because that is what some of these athletes lack, agents or managers. And we saw that with the number of managers out there.
Yes. Managers invest their money in athletes who have the potential to be the next generation of high-achieving athletes. They help you to build that CV by exposing you to opportunities. Remember, an upcoming athlete does not have the ability sorry about that, okay, to travel to a race in London, to a race in the US. Even getting money for the ticket, for the air ticket alone, is a major challenge. That is where the agents come in to help this athlete go out there, compete, win prize money. And from there, they will have joined the elite categories. They will have been exposed to more opportunities out there. That is why the managers are here, to identify them. And after identifying them, they go train them in their camps. Yes.
Yes, that is why we have lots of camps in these sides, that is in Eldoret as well as in Elgeyo Marakwet County. We have a number of camps there where athletes, of course, get to practice and better their craft. Yes, still keeping tabs on the 42 kilometers men and 42 kilometers women as we continue with the coverage of the 7th edition of the Eldoret City Marathon 2026. Women leading pack on the left side of your screen, and on the right the men's leading pack. The men still more than 20 men right there in the leading pack, and on the women's side it's the 4 leading women who are still just behind the pace setter. Remember, this is the first time that Eldoret City Marathon is having a pace setter, and the 7th edition and of course the previous editions, those are some of the winners from the 1 mile as well as the 10 kilometers races that have just come to an end. So let's now cross over to Davis Mberia to speak to them so that we can get to hear what they have to say about today's race. Davis.
Shukrani sana Robinson Okenye. Ndivyo mambo yanavyoendelea hapa katika mbio za Eldoret City Marathon, na sasa hivi nizungumze na washindi nafasi ya kwanza, pili, tatu walionyakuwa nishani ya dhahabu, fedha na shaba mtawalia katika hasa mbio za maili moja ambazo ni kilomita 1.6. Bwana, tuanze tu kwa majina, alafu bwana, mbio zimekuwaje hizi za maili moja upande wa wanaume?
Kwa majina naitwa Kelvin Kimtai. Mbio imekuwa mzuri na nimefurahia vile ambavyo mashabiki wameshangilia, ndio nikapata morale, but mwenzangu alikuwa sawa juu nilikuwa nimetegemea tu kukuja home stretch na nipige mzuri.
Ushindi wa leo unamaanisha nini kwako?
Inamaanisha kitu kubwa kwangu kwa sababu nimerudi from injury na I'm good.
Mara ya kwanza kushiriki katika mbio hizi, je, ni mara pia kwanza kushiriki katika mbio za Eldoret City Marathon?
Ni mara ya kwanza kushiriki kwa mita. Yeah.
Unajua kuna wanariadha wengine wanashiriki vitengo tofauti, mbio za mita 800 na mbio zingine. Wewe pakubwa unashiriki mbio zipi?
Nashiriki kwa mita 800 Yeah.
Asante sana bwana na kongole kwa kuibuka mshindi katika mbio za mile moja kwa wanaume.
Asante.
Haya, nizungumze na nafasi ya pili haraka upesi. Tuanze kwa majina, unapigia wapi mazoezi na je, ushindi unamaanisha nini katika mbio hizi?
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Eric Kangsur Samuel. Mazoezi haikuwa mbaya, kwa rahisi. Nilikuwa nimekuja kutafuta speed.
Mambo yalikwenda vipi kiasi cha kumaliza nafasi ya pili bwana? Alikupiku vipi huyu bingwa?
Nimefurahi kuwa nambari 2 kwa maana sikuwa na speed.
Baada ya hapa tutarajie nini kutoka kwako?
So nitaanza sasa kurudi kufanya train sasa, nitafuta speed nzuri.
Asante sana bwana na kongole kwa kuibuka nafasi ya pili.
Asante.
Haya, huyu ni nafasi ya pili. Nafasi ya tatu haraka upesi bwana, tuanze na majina kisha utueleze mbio za mile moja ni mara ya kwanza unazishiriki na je zimekuaje?
Kwa majina ni Shamil Kiprono and ni mara yangu ya kwanza kushiriki kwa hii 1 mile, also kwa hii marathon and nimeanza vizuri. I promise next time tena ni work hard, perhaps mta expect mazuri.
Nafasi ya tatu umeridhika nayo?
Nimeridhika nayo kwa sasa kwa maana it's a good start, but next time ta improve.
Unafanyia wapi mazoezi?
Na train at Kaptagat. Yes.
Unajua na riadha wengi Kaptagat ndio bwana, kuna manguli zaidi. Nani anakupa motisha kila siku pale Kaptagat?
Sana ni mzee Eliud Kipchoge. Ndio naonanga ananipush. Also in females department ni Kipyegon.
Kuna uwezekano tukakuona sasa ukitoka katika mbio za maili moja ukaingia kilomita 10 na kupanda hadi kilomita 42?
Maybe nitafikiria kuihusu. Tafikiria.
Mbio za mita ngapi unashiriki? 800?
1500 mostly na 3000. Yes.
Asante sana. Tumalizia na nafasi ya 4. Tuanze kwa majina kisha unapigia wapi mazoezi? Mbio za leo zimekuaje kiasi cha kumaliza nje ya mabano ya medali?
Kwa majina naitwa Amos Kipkoskei na train 10 nakimbia 1500 meters. So kuambia leo nimefurahia, nashukuru sana mama.
Leo imekuaje? Je, asubuhi kibaridi kilikusaidia kidogo na tofauti ipi ipo katika mbio ambazo umeshiriki na maili moja hii?
Kwa hata leo haikuwa mbaya sana.
Na tofauti ipi iliyoko katika mbio ambazo umeshiriki na hii maili moja?
Kwa hii maili moja ni mara ya kwanza kukimbia, but haikuwa mbaya.
Mwanariadha yupi ambao unamwangazia zaidi?
Manuel Wanyonyi.
Asante sana bwana na kila laheri. Anasema kwamba anamwangazia zaidi Emmanuel Wanyonyi, hasa huyu ni baadhi ya wanariadha tajika zaidi ukizungumzia mbio za kilomita mita 800 ambao wametesa katika anga ya kimataifa. Awali nipitie tu baadhi tu ya matokeo ambayo yalishuhudiwa upande wa wanawake katika mbio hizi za maili moja ambazo zimekamilika dakika chache zilizopita, na hasa zinahusisha hasa wale wanariadha ambao wanashiriki kwa mara ya kwanza kabisa baada ya mbio hizi kushirikishwa katika makala haya ya 7 ya mbio za Eldoret City Marathon. Naomi Korir alibuka bingwa upande wa wanawake. Kumbuka kwamba Naomi Korir anatua katika mbio hizi baada ya kufanya vema katika mbio zilizokamilika siku ya Ijumaa katika uga wa kitaifa Nyayo, mbio za Kipkeino Classic, na anapiga mazoezi yake katika eneo la Cherengani. Katika upande wa mbio za kilomita 10, Abraham Kongo alibuka bingwa katika mbio hizo, na kumbuka kwamba Kongo anapigia mazoezi yake katika hasa jiji hili la Eldoret na ni mara yake ya kwanza kushiriki. Kwa hivyo tupo hapa kuzungumza na wale washindi na washirika ambao watakuwa wanatoa medali katika vitengo mbalimbali, lakini sasa hivi naomba nikurudishe kwake Robinson Okenye na Steve Ruto.
Davis Mberia speaking to some of the participants in the 1 mile elite race that has just come to an end at the finish line right there. Remember, we are still keeping tabs on what is happening in the men's and women's 42 kilometers, and so far we are seeing fans coming out to support the athletes. And in the women's race, yes, it's now shaping up as we are counting, or rather as the clock is ticking down. It's now shaping from a leading pack of 5, now 3 trying to outwit each other. This shows you how, sheer endurance is needed in this race. And from the three, probably that is where we are going to have our winner from, as the clock keeps on ticking. So far, 1 hour. So far, 1 hour done and 52 minutes. Yes, so we still have some 30 minutes or so to go before the women's race comes to an end. And on the men's side, we had a leading pack of closer to 20 to 25 men. But as the time goes, it keeps on shrinking. But we are still yet to see somebody break from that as compared to the women's race that is on the left side of your screen. Steve, as we continue with this coverage, it's now down to wits and also the psychological mind games that are happening here in the women's race, because we are not far off from coming to the finish line. And we had a leading pack of almost 10. Then it trimmed to 5, and now we have 3. And are you expecting them to maintain this to the end, or probably with 5 kilometers left we'll see a totally different game plan?
They're now in that stage where they are going to make that decisive move.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that time to make the decisive move. Remember, they have had a tour of the city.
Yes.
They are now almost getting back to the city.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone a tour of nearly all the suburbs,
Mm-hmm.
and they're now back to the city.
Mm-hmm.
And they're now getting close to the last 5 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
It's at this stage, as you can see, the pack is whittling down from 7
Mm-hmm.
to 3.
Mm-hmm.
The leaders may stick up to around 38 or so before one of them makes the move to take the leadership position and see whether they can sprint all the way to the finish and emerge the winner of today's race. So they have had a very good tour of the city. It's now time to make the decisive move to kick.
Steve, this is your town, and I know you know it like the back of your hand. Where are they now?
Now they're now in Kapsoya.
Mm-hmm.
They're in Kapsoya, and after that, they started at Highland Scene in the morning. Went to Moigals, turned left, back to Eldoret Iten Road, then to areas of veterinary, areas of Coca-Cola, and then back to the highway, the Uganda Road, then to places like Mwanso, and then all the way to Raiplai in Huruma, then come towards town, and then before getting back to the city, again, that's way back in the morning, they make a turn. They head towards Pioneer, across the bridge, the Sosiani Bridge, to Pioneer. From Pioneer, Rivertex, textile manufacturer, just near that textile manufacturer, and then they head towards Langas. Langas is one of the biggest estates in Eldoret. Then they get to the after the tour of Langas, they get back to Kisumu Road, then towards Eldoret National Polytechnic, and then they take another turn, then make their way back again to Kisumu Road, and then around that area near Tamasha and around that area, they get to the halfway of this race, and then they take another tour towards town, and then they make a turn, get into Elgon View, and then all the way to Nairobi Road. At Nairobi Road, they turn and run towards town, but they don't get into town. They come all the way to Power Place Junction. They run towards KCC, but at some point they turn and they run up towards Kapsoya, and then down back to Noble Hotel, and then they rejoin Nairobi Road again as now they get to town. So they're now getting to that Nairobi Road, and then they'll get to town to a tour of places like Nandi Road, all the way to Eastleigh, then now join the Uganda Road, and then back, and then now they're now back to town, and then all the way to the roundabout of Barangetuny and Zion Mall, and that is where they get to the final turn and the home stretch, and they'll be home and dry.
Yes, Steve, clearly giving us the map of the 7th edition of the Eldoret City Marathon that is currently taking place here in Eldoret City. And of course, we keep monitoring what is happening. And the women's race currently, they have done 1 hour and 58 minutes, and we are waiting, of course, to see from that leading pack who's going to, say that this is the time now I need to move away, and I need to move away and, make a name for myself in this race and get into that Hall of Fame of the Eldoret City Marathon. For the men, we can see them on the right side of your screen. That pack are still not shrinked, and they are trying to see who will take over from last year's winner, that is Edwin Kipruto, who clocked 2 hours, 11 minutes and 21 seconds. And for the women, they're trying to see who takes over from Viola Chepngeno, who clocked 2 hours, 26 minutes and 22 seconds. That leading pack there, you can see how determined they are to get to win this prestigious local race that we have right here. And as they come to the finish line, of course, we have the dignitaries already seated there waiting for them to come and cut the tape of the 7th edition of the Eldoret City Marathon, which has become a talent pipeline for athletes. It's given athletes a launch pad to accelerate their careers to the top and also participate in some of the biggest marathons that we have in the world. And it's also giving upcoming athletes a platform to showcase what they have to offer. Of course, it's one of the hardest marathons you have in the world, having in mind, Steve, that the altitude here is not the same compared to the altitude in countries out there.
Yes, in most of the major marathons, they run at a lowest altitude. Times they run at less than 100 meters above sea level, and that can't be compared to an altitude as high as Eldoret's 2,100 meters above sea level. It's way too high. And that means that it's a very difficult course for the athletes to compete in. So it requires that high measure of resilience and endurance to compete successfully in a course as that of Eldoret City Marathon because of the high altitude. Remember, the air is thinner and thinner as you go higher in the altitude. So here you struggle to get adequate oxygen because of that altitude, as compared to a race, races like Berlin, where we run at less than 100 meters above sea level, Tokyo, Boston. All these major marathons are happening at a lower altitude, and it makes it easy for athletes to run faster times as compared to races like Eldoret City Marathon, which is run in a course that is on a very high altitude. But for Kenyan athletes, this is their training ground. They train here, and they are easily. This race is like when they are home. When you are home, you are used to the conditions. They are used to the high altitude because they train here.
Yes, so let's cross over to Davis Mberia, who's on standby with the sports CEC of Uasin Gishu County, before we get to see who comes out as the winner, because the women are definitely checking on that clock as they come closer to the finish line. Davis.
Thank you very much, Robinson Okenya. Yes, it is a good morning that we've witnessed, of course, different winners in different categories. We've so far seen in 10 kilometers, of course, men's, in 1 mile, of course, in the both men's and the women, of course, the categories. And right now, let me speak to one man who has been in charge of sports in Uasin Gishu County. This is none other than the CEC, who is joining us on KTN. CEC, welcome on KTN. And of course, the 7th edition of Eldoret, of course, marathon going down. The 7th edition. We've seen a lot, but let's talk about you. You've done so well in 1 mile. How was it?
Thank you very much. Thank you, KTN. First of all, I'm Robert Kemei, the CEC in charge of sports and youth affairs. I have already finished my 1 mile. That is the first race that we've run today. It's an inaugural race from the governor. It was tough. I tell you, it was tough. I mean, before you even start, guys are already in 5 meters, 10 meters. I could see myself going to going towards the rear side. But it was good. Anyway, I participated, I finished. That's why I have a medal already. And the total race, 42 kilometers men, 42 kilometers women. The fun race, the 10 kilometer is on course. We have seen small children, everybody, women, men, who have participated, including the wheelchair race that has happened here. We want to thank you so much. Thank you, even KTN, for airing this event live at the same time. And thank you for partnering with us, the Uasin Gishu County. This is a city of champions. We are very excited.
I mean, the city of champions, this is one of the launching pads for elite athletes who have gone and, of course, done so well in international events. But let's talk about Uasin Gishu, producing good athletes. We talk about Lawrence Cherono. We talk about Rita Jepto. Talk about this. How is that, and what is the secret so far that has been there?
First of all, you know, this is the home of champions, the city of champions. All these athletes who are participating here today have walked or have ran from home. You know, the feeling that we are already at home and conquering this race is a stepping stone for these people to go and participate outside there. You see the world beaters, they are already here. This is where nurturing talent is happening, and it's real time. These are talented athletes, and as you can see, that they are running natural, running clean from home, and then they will walk home again with a total prize of 3.5 million. Yeah.
Finally, maybe it is a big motivation, big turnout of spectators just cheering you. You've talked to me about how you are being motivated, going the hilly part and the sloping, the dropping, and on this roadside, there were spectators cheering you. Maybe what has been the plan behind making this marathon to turn out that big and attract more spectators?
Thank you very much. I want to appreciate the sponsors for walking this path with us, for allowing us to discover new talent, for allowing us also to nurture that talent and appreciate the athletes from this region. We appreciate so much, and these are the flag bearers and these are the conquerors of the world that come from this region. When you hear about the Eldoret City Marathon, it is a real race from all these people who are here. The spectators know the athletes know their spectators, the mothers are cheering their sons, the fathers are cheering their daughters. At the same time, everybody, brothers, sisters, they're cheering you. So that is the motivation spirit that we have.
Thank you very much. We hope to see you maybe upgrading in your category after 1 mile, 10 kilometers now.
Let me take some water, man.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. That is Robert Kemei, the CEC in charge of sports in Uasin Gishu County, just sharing with us how Eldoret City Marathon, the 7th edition, is happening and how it is actually becoming one of the launching pads when you talk about elite athletes who have been doing so well when, of course, going in the international events to represent Kenya. So we shall be here just to talk to other, of course, athletes who will be finishing in different categories, and also the stakeholders who are making it successful when you talk about the Eldoret City Marathon. Back to you, Robinson Okenye. And of course, athletes will be finishing in different categories, and also the stakeholders who are making it successful when you talk about the Eldoret City Marathon. Back to you, Robinson Okenye. And of course, athletes will be finishing in different categories, and also
was speaking to the CEC sports in Uasin Gishu County, and he said we let him sip some water, man. Yes, as we continue taking a look at the 2026 edition of the Eldoret City Marathon, the women so far 2 hours 8 minutes, so we are almost coming to the final of the women's 42-kilometer race. We are not far off. Steve, still, nobody is making that move.
Yes.
Nobody is willing to make that move in the women's 42 kilometers race. It's just, keeping that distance closer before, we see who has the guts to pull away and probably go on to win.
But it's about that time to make that move, because they are now making their entry to town, and the finish line is not far. Should be in the next 15 to 20 minutes, and they'll be making the grand entry to the final stretch after making that final turn at the intersection of at the roundabout between Zion Mall and Barangetun Plaza, and that is not far. So it's about that time they make that move. As you can see, the two leaders are beginning to make that first move, but it's still about the mind games, and very soon, in the next few minutes, you might see the move as they get into town and as they get into places like Eastleigh before joining the Uganda Road.
Yes, as we can see, we're almost coming to the end of the 42 kilometers for women, but the men on the other side are also trying to maneuver through. Remember, we had a pack of almost 20. Now it's only 5 that are leading that race for the men, and it's going to be, of course, a battle for those 5 to see who moves ahead of the rest. It's a very, very interesting race. And remember, this for the men's side, we've had one man that is Victor Kipchirchir, who's won this race 3 times. I mean, he made it his own race. And before that, after that, Edwin Kipruto took over. So the question is, who's going to take over from Edwin Kipruto? And was it that easy for Victor Kipchirchir to win it 3 times in a row? Steve?
Victor Kipchirchir said it was not easy for him to win 3 times in a row. 2021, 2022, and 2024.
Had it been there, probably in 2023, could have also won it.
Yes, maybe, because that year he was ready for the race, but because it was cancelled that year because of sponsorship issues, maybe he would have won. But is a master of the streets of Eldoret. Remember, he comes from Wazingishu. This is his home county. He trains at times in Kaptagat and at times in Eldoret and at times in Iten. So he's home. He has mastered the streets. He's the homeboy. Yeah.
Yeah, this is...
And after the third win in 2024, he was nicknamed the King of Eldoret. And whenever he's here, you know, there is that panic. There is that pressure among athletes that this is the king.
Yes, of course, whenever the king is around, you have to do due diligence and salute the king. Vincent Kipchirchir has won the race 3 times, but today the big question is who will take over from Edwin Kipruto, who ran 2 hours, 11 minutes and 21 seconds in the 2025 edition. But all eyes now are on the women's race. Of course, business at a standstill in Eldoret as most roads were closed for this prestigious event. The 2 leaders of this race right there running side by side, while we also have the other lady just trailing them and looking behind her just to see whether there is anybody in the vicinity who's following her. But at the moment, no. So she's just trying probably to say, if I don't win it, probably I might finish third. And if I finish third, I'm not going home empty-handed. There is something in it for me because, Steve, the third-placed finishers in this race also get to pocket. They get to pocket
1 million.
1 million. So she's just trying to make sure that even if I'm third, yeah, there's something in the bag for me. And as you can see, just behind the 2 leaders, the third lady just right there, and she was looking back to see if there is anybody who was chasing her, and she saw that there was no one, and she's probably confident that now, even if she doesn't improve on her speed as she's chasing the leaders, then probably she might finish third in this race. But the 2 leaders are not just giving each other peace. It's they're going stride for stride, and you're trying to see whether they can match that pace to the finish line. And residents of Eldoret just walking on the roads as they watch them participate in this race. Those who are coming from church, or also those who are going to church out there. Others are on the balconies just trying to watch what is happening on the streets of Eldoret this morning. Remember, this is one of the biggest marathons that we have in the country, and it's all about the 3.5 million shillings that is up for grabs for the winners. And the ladies who were flagged off at exactly 7 a.m. have done they've done 2 hours 15 minutes, probably 10 more minutes to go, or 13 more minutes to go, as Steve had earlier said that now they are going through the streets in town. And as you can see, the residents right there just watching them, others walking along the streets as they participate. And Steve, when I see, the residents of Eldoret just walking like that, it means that this is a common phenomenon. We normally see athletes participating or even practicing, and it's something that we're used to. Somewhere else, people will just stand and they will be wondering, why are you running this early morning?
Yes. It's because most of these athletes train around here and they're familiar faces in town. Remember, this is their town, the city of champions. So most of them are used to athletes training here. But in a competition like this, they turn out to cheer them because they are familiar faces. They have seen them competing in international races, and they know that even if they don't come from the city, they train around here, or they have that potential to represent the country in the near future. So they understand the value of athletics. They know that these are the people who will fly our colors tomorrow, or in a race that is set to come up in the next 2 years, they know that even if they do not win today, they are the ones who call the Eldoret City home, or are being prepared for the next race or for the next championship. And remember, there is always something for every athlete, including the last athlete to cross the finish line. Remember, the other time during the 2024 Olympics, the second fastest marathoner, Eliud Kipchoge, said, it's not about winning, it's about participation. That was his take home from the Paris Olympics, where he did a DNF. DNF did not finish. And his encouragement was, there is always something for everyone. That the participation bit is very important than even winning. So you can cross the finish line last, but you have something, experience.
Yes, and we can now see the clear distinction that we have the leading lady right there, and she just decided to break off and just increase her kick as we continue with this coverage of the Eldoret City Marathon that is happening in Eldoret City, Uasin Gishu County. And now we have the lady that has just said that, you know what, this is going to be my race. This is what is going to make, or rather get me into the Eldoret City Hall of Fame. And she is not far off from the finishing line, Steve. And as you can see now, she's coming to where the people are lining up on the streets just to watch her, just to watch what she's made of, and to see, you know, how she maneuvers the remaining kilometers to get to the finish line. And even on the men's side, the things have changed. Yes, from that leading pack of that we had of almost 6-7, it's now down to 2.
Yes. It's that stage where they make their moves. It's that stage where the athletes establish a very comfortable lead. Look at the women. The leader has already established a very comfortable lead as she heads to the finish, meaning that she has a higher chance of clinching victory here and walking away with Kenya shillings 3.5 million, because given the distance remaining to the finish line, she's in a better position, having established a lead of over 50 meters, and now they're heading to the finish line. There is a high chance that she's going to be the victor today.
Yes, in the next probably 5 minutes, we are expecting the winner of the women's marathon to come to the finish line. And of course, all eyes are now on the women's marathon that is currently going on. And that is where we are focusing on. Yes, the men, we have the two that have broken off, but our focus should be on, is on the women's marathon. And we've seen who the leader is, and now everybody is out to see in the next probably 4 or 5 minutes she will be coming to the finish line, and that is where our focus is on. Steve, what do you think is going through her mind at the moment?
A lot could be going through her mind. One is she going to win the race, or is she going to be caught up by the second athlete, by the chasing group? And in her mind as well is the 3.5 million, which she's going to win. Is she going to take home the 3.5 million prize money? A lot is going through her mind. And remember, when we started off, we said athletics means a lot to the athletes. Is she going to change home? Is she going to be caught up by the chasing group? Is she going to or what will be the celebrations like? Is she going to get that rapturous celebration at the final stretch? A lot is going through her mind. She's trying to push the pace a little bit further and trying to think whether she can sprint all the way to the finish line.
Yes, the women's race almost coming to an end. The leader right there, and all eyes are now on her. She's just harder to outsmart her opponents, and she gave her that kick. And now, Steve, as we watch, go through these streets in Eldoret, most likely what is going through her mind, as you had said, is that, you know what, I just needed to maintain this pace. I'm not far off from the finish line. I just needed to maintain this pace. And remember, we've just clocked the 40 kilometers mark, 2 kilometers to go. And this is now where the real endurance comes in.
Yes. With this pace, if she improves it a little bit, then we're going to see the women, the first in the women's race, maybe finishing under 30, under 9 hours 30 minutes, and under 2 hours 30 minutes, 2 hours 30 minutes. So if she injects more pace, then we're going to see maybe 2 hours and 28 or 29 minutes.
Could be 2 hours 25.
No. Because they've already run 2 hours
23
minutes. So
26 maybe.
Give them maybe another 6 minutes. Give them another 6 minutes.
But give them another 6
Another
minutes
6
to
minutes.
come to the close to the finish line, rather.
Yes. After the 6 minutes after the 40 kilometer mark, or 7 thereabout, or about 7 minutes, because she might be sprinting towards the finish in the next 5 minutes, because they are now she's now in those areas of Eastleigh, and she'll be joining the Uganda Road, and then when she joins Uganda Road, she'll be on a stretch towards the final turn to the finish. So they're likely to finish in under 2 hours and 30 minutes. Yes. And remember, you had asked what could be going through her mind. It could be she is doing this for a family. She could be saying, now I've made my family proud. Or am I going to make them proud in the next few minutes? If it's about maybe children at home, am I going to make them proud? Am I going to make the fans proud? Can I increase my pace? Can I slow down? A lot is going through her mind.
She's just joined the Uganda Road, and now, Steve, she's not far off from the finish line. Yes, and she's just praying that the legs can push her to the finish line, where she gets to cut the tape. And you can see the residents out there trying to encourage her, trying to tell her that you have this. This is for you. Yes, you have this, and just keep going, keep going. You are not far off from the finish line. Just keep going, and this is. You are here to win the Eldoret City Marathon, and she's just throwing glances back to see where her competitor is, but she's not anywhere closer to where she is. And Eldoret City residents are just encouraging her. She's just past the 41 kilometer mark, and we are not far, Steve, from coming to the finish line. I just want to alert my colleague Davis Mberia to be ready, because we are almost coming to the air to receive the winner of the women's 42 kilometers race, just holding a medal right there, just trying to keep that pace going, just trying to make sure that she can hold on to that, and win this year's marathon, that is the Eldoret City Marathon, and also pocket that 3.5 million shillings. And Steve said she left home today in the morning to change home.
Yes. So the main target is to ensure that athletics is used to make them to make home better. Athletics is used to improve their lives because it is a career like any other career, and they have invested nearly every day of their lives training. They invest nearly every hour of their lives focusing on how they're going to win races. They wake up early in the morning to train by 5 a.m. when most people are still asleep waiting to wake up at 6. They are already on the roads and on the tracks training in preparation for races.
Yes, she's not far off from the finish line, and as you can tell that she's just getting focused, just going past runners, athletes who had participated in the 10 kilometers in the morning who are yet to complete, but she is focused on the final hurdle, which she's going to get through to get to in a bit. She gets to the finish line, just throwing glances just to see whether there is someone who's following her behind, but luckily for her there is nobody behind her. The distance between her and the second placed athlete in this race is very, very wide, and she is just trying to maintain that pace. And from the arms and the way she's swinging them, Steve, you can tell that she is not going to give up. She's going to maintain that pace until the end. And you can see all the athletes, or rather other participants who took part in the 1 mile or 10 kilometers also right there, trying to cheer her on. Residents who turned out to the streets also encouraging her to keep the pace up. And I can tell you at the finish line, the people who have gathered there are way too, rather the number has increased, and they just want to get a glimpse of the lady who's going to come out as the winner. And she is just approaching the finish line. She's just approaching the finish line, and we are waiting for her to come and cut the tape. And she is not far, and we can see she is coming to the finish line, and she's being cheered by the residents who've come there. And we have the winner. It's evident she is the winner of the 2027 edition of the Eldoret City Marathon.
Wa mbio za kilomita 42 kwa wanawake, kwa kwamba ni mbio ambazo zilianza mapema hii leo, na sasa hivi ni bingwa ambaye tuko naye sasa hivi anapumzika, anafanya mambo yake kidogo kabla ya kuzungumza naye, na atakapokuwa yuko tayari nitakuwa nazungumza naye. Kumbuka kwamba ni baadhi makala makubwa ambayo yanashuhudiwa humu ndani, wote wawili wanakumbatiana, na hii inaonyesha kwamba dhahiri kwamba kando na kutimka kuna urafiki, na kando na ushindani pia kuna urafiki mkubwa. Nizungumze tu naye dakika chache kabla akipumzika kidogo, akipiga maji yake. Tuanze tu kwa majina bwana. Mbio zimekuaje? Tuanze kwa majina.
Mimi ni Dorin Jesang. I saw that I could not make it, but it is on the God. Yeah.
I mean, making it, what really worked for you today?
And the training I was doing made me to win today. Yeah, you're not training without pacemaker, you can't do it. Yeah, and without different coach. Yeah.
Where do you train, and who is your coach maybe?
No, I train in Uganda, but I don't have any coach. Yeah.
Is it your first time you're taking part in this marathon?
Yeah, it is my first time.
I mean, first time coming in to win. How special is it?
It is good. I enjoy it because where I train from is just hilly, but if I reach here is just flat. Yeah.
Of course, talk to me. Of course, taking part in such a marathon, how is it so unique compared to other, of course, events you've taken part in?
Yeah, I think this one is, it was a bit difficult to me because when I wanted to start, now I say, with all these ladies, am I going to manage? And then I tell God, it is my training. For them, they are doing training, me, I am doing training, so let us go. We shall see who will win, because I have done enough training. For them, they have done even enough training.
At what point did you realize that you're going to win this? And yes, your training is paying off at last. At what point, maybe after how many kilometers, did you realize you're now going to win the race?
No, when I reached 25, I see they wait for them, they were breathing. I say, this is for me to win this race. Because when you are running, you just see how your friends are breathing. You know, you see compare with yours. Yeah.
Whom do you look up to maybe in this? Who really motivated you to take part in Eldoret City Marathon? And which athlete do you look up to?
For me, I don't look anyone because for him or her is training, even me, I train, so I don't fear anybody. Yeah.
Maybe future races, where do we expect to see you?
Next time, national championship. Yeah, world championship, I will be there.
For the sake of the viewers, your name and where you train again.
My name is Torin Jesang. I train from Uganda. Yeah, but I was here in Iten, but now I went back to Uganda.
A Ugandan who has done well in Kenya. To all the Ugandans watching you on KTN, what can you tell them and how happy are you?
I can tell them I am happy because I have won this Eldoret City Marathon. I didn't expect, but it is just only the God. But I want to tell them that thank you for praying for me. I know wherever they were watching, they are now very happy, but I tell them thanks for praying for me. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Doreen Chesang, and congratulations on emerging the winner of the 7th edition of Eldoret City Marathon in the women's 42 kilometers category.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is Doreen Chesang from Uganda, the champion of 42 kilometers women race. Of course, she has done well. She has conquered coming into Kenya and showing, of course, local athletes that you can run well away from home. Well, let's talk to a lady who has actually bagged the, of course, silver medal. She will be telling us how the race. Tuanze tu kwa majina, mbio za kilomita 42 zimekuwaje hizi?
Kwa majina ni Margaret Wangare kutoka Gong, lakini nimeoleka hapa na someone called Jacob Yaton from Marakwet. So mbio za leo zimekuwa mzuri sana, maana sijakuwa nikikimbia for 2 years back due to health issues. So siku ya leo nimeshukuru Mungu sana sababu nimeweza kurudisha profile yangu since 2023. Yeah.
Baada ya kilomita ngapi ndio ulijua kwamba wacha niachane nafasi ya kwanza, hii nafasi ya pili ndio nakufa nayo hii?
Okay, kwa 38 kilometers hapo ndio nilisikia kuna tumilima tulinilemea. Alafu nilikuwa najaribu kupush mwenzangu na mwambia tujaribu kupush sisi wawili, sisi tuko kwa podium, gari hiyo ndio kitu ya maana. So kwa 38 hapo ndio nimesikia imenilemea.
Nimeona mmekumbatiana, je, mnajuana na ukaribu ulitokea lini?
Hatujuani, lakini tumejuliana kwa race siku ya leo, maana nilikuwa nachukua maji na mpea, alafu tukienda akiangalia nyuma anatuambia wenye wako nyuma hawako karibu. So tunaambiana tujaribu kupush tukiwa watatu wenye tulikuwa mbele until the finishing line.
Doreen Chesang ni Mganda na amekuja hapa nyumbani, amewaonyesha Wakenya kwamba ndio mimi ni Mganda, lakini nawaonyesha, nawafunza, nawapeleka skulini. Kwako hii inakaa vipi?
Okay, unajua pio ni ya kila mtu. Awe Mganda, awe Mkenya, awe Mwethiopia, pio ni ya kila mtu, lakini kwetu ni changamoto sababu tuko kwetu nyumbani, so hatukufaa kushindwa, lakini tunashukuru Mungu tu manake ameshinda.
Ni mara ya kwanza kuibuka na medali katika mbio hizi za Eldoret City Marathon?
Ni mara ya kwanza. Yeah.
Na kushiriki ni mara ya kwanza?
Ni mara ya pili.
Mara ya pili. Mara ya kwanza ilikuwaje?
Mara ya pili nilikuwa namba 6.
Tukuone wapi katika mbio zijazo humu nchini na kimataifa?
Okay, kimataifa kutoka hapa natarajia kukimbia either Berlin ama Chicago.
Asante sana, kongole na kila laheri wakati unaazimia kukimbia Berlin. Huyo ni nafasi ya pili. Nizungumze tu nafasi ya tatu, naomba tu songe hapa kidogo nizungumze na mwenzako upande huu ambaye amezoa medali ya shaba ama ukipenda bronze medal. Karibu zaidi kwenye KTN. Tuanze tu kwa majina. Mbio za leo zimekuaje, mbio za kilomita 42 kwa wanawake?
Kwa majina naitwa Jacqueline Cherono. Mbio za leo ilikuwa ngumu kidogo, lakini nilijaribu kung'ang'ana kwa sababu ni marathon ya kwanza, sijawahi kimbia marathon. Last year nilikuwa na shida ya injury. Ilikuwa nikimbia last year lakini nilishikwa na injury. The whole of last year sikufanya kitu chochote. Alafu January nikaanza mazoezi polepole, loading polepole. Nikasema nikuja nijaribu Eldoret City. Lakini nashukuru Mungu ameniwezesha nikapata nambari la 3.
Mwenzako amezungumzia vijilima na kushuka kupanda vilimlemea zaidi akatosheka na nafasi ya pili. Wewe kivyako nini ilikuwa changamoto na umeridhika na nafasi hii ya 3?
Ndio, nimeridhika kwa nafasi ya 3 kwa sababu sikuwa natarajia, ni mara ya kwanza na nilikuwa naovia juu ni kitu sijaifanya. Nikasema wacha nijaribu, nilikuwa na imani, nikasema wacha nijaribu kwa sababu mazoezi nimefanya. Sikuwa na wasiwasi sana vile. Kulikuwa na mamlima yenyewe lakini nilikuwa naona mwili inasonga. Nikasema nijaribu tu nisonge kama nafunga hao wenye wako mbele.
Ikiwa imesalia kilomita 10 kumaliza, bado mlikuwa katika kundi la 5. Pengine nini kilikuwa kinaenda kichwani wakati mpo pamoja na mbio karibu zinaisha?
Sikuwa pamoja na wao kwa maana nilitoka nyuma, niliachwa 15 kilometers. Nilikuwa nambari la 7 mpaka hapa 40 kilometers. Nikaona wenye wako mbele hawako wanasonga tena, nikajaribu kuwafunga. Nikashtukia niko nambari la 3 lakini nashukuru.
Tukuone wapi katika mbio zijazo?
Bado naenda sasa kupanga na coach.
Unapigia wapi mazoezi?
Napigia Iten.
Nani kule Iten anakupa motisha? Manake Iten kuna wanariadha nguli zaidi kule.
Bridget Koske.
Asante sana na kongole zaidi kwa kumaliza nafasi ya 3.
Asante.
Huyu ni mshindi wa medali hasa ya shaba. Nizungumze na nafasi ya 4 kwa haraka upesi kwa majina, kisha mbio zimekuaje leo? Mbona hujamaliza katika mabano ya 4 bora? Nini ambacho unahisi kwamba kimekuzuia?
Kwa majina naitwa Beatrice Miningwa na train Iten, but I come from Baringo County. Nilikuwa na wao, tulikakuja, tulipofika 39k nikaanza kuchoka. Nikakuja nyuma peke yangu top 3, kufika 41k mguu ilijaa. Nikasema acha tu nikuje.
Ukawaachilia?
Kawaachilia.
Sema pumzi ziliisha ama nini kiliendelea?
Pumzi ziliisha.
Na ulitarajia kwamba ukimaliza nafasi ya 4 ama ulikuwa na matarajio ya juu?
Sikuwa natarajia, ni Mungu tu.
Mara yako ya kwanza unashiriki?
Hapana, nilishiriki standard last year nikakuwa position 4. Tena leo position 4.
Asante sana, na tukutarajie wapi, mbio zipi humu nchini na kimataifa?
Maybe nitaenda kupanga na coach, maybe naweza enda Brazil.
Asante sana. Bila shaka hao ni wanariadha kutoka hasa vitengo na ni kitengo cha mbio hasa za kilomita 42 ambazo zimekamilika dakika chache zijazo. Naomba tu niruhusu kidogo yule mpanga mipango Judy Yego ananiambia kwamba nizungumze mawili matatu na wafadhili ama wadhamini wa mashindano haya ambao wamehakikisha kwamba mbio za Eldoret City Marathon. Nizungumze nawe dakika 2 manake mshindi pale karibu anamaliza. Majina kisha mbio hizi unazionaje wewe kama mshikadau mundani?
Jina langu ni Noma, nimetoka kampuni ambayo inaitwa Eldoret. Mbio hizi zimenoga kweli, ni jambo la muhimu kwa kuwa ukiangalia ile theme ambayo imetuleta wote, climate action. Kwa hivyo kwa kuwa tunazidi kuzingatia mazingira yetu, ndio maana tuko hapa. Sisi kama kampuni mpya tuko hapa kushikana mikono na washikadau wengine ili tuweze kukuza vipaji. Ndio.
Asante sana, naomba uniruhusu nikimbie kule angalau nitizame jinsi mambo yako vile. Kumbuka kwamba mbio hizi zinakujia moja kwa moja kupitia runinga ya KTN. Tutakwenda kule kwingine tuone mambo yako vipi. Dakika moja kama 2 hivi tutakuwa tunajua hasa bingwa upande wa wanaume ni nani. Kumbuka kwamba bingwa wa mwaka jana hashiriki mbio hizi, na sawasawa pia bingwa mara 3 wa mbio hizi za Eldoret City Marathon ashiriki. Kwa hivyo tunatarajia kuona bingwa mwingine mpya katika kitengo cha wanaume ambacho kinakamilika dakika chache zijazo. Bila shaka ni twende kule moja kwa moja, na kumbuka kwamba ni mbio ambazo zimekuwa kitovu kikubwa cha wanariadha, zikitoa wanariadha tajika, na jinsi tu mpiga picha wangu ananionyesha ni kwamba wale wanaoshiriki mbio za hasa kilomita 42, na muona binti hapa anamalizia akiwa amejitahidi zaidi. Kumbuka kwamba mbio hizi za kilomita 42 zimehasa ubingwa umechukuliwa na Mganda ambaye ni Dorin Jesang, na alisema kwamba yeye anafanyia mazoezi hapa nchini, na hii inamaanisha kwamba nchi ya Kenya na hasa eneo hili la bonde la Ufa lina maeneo